Level 23, Hop. This is a fairly straightforward name because you start up with a seesaw and a spring right next to it. What do you think we'll do? Indeed, we will hop on top of it and all the way up. Here we see a smart bomb and the snowflake machine. I could save the smart bomb for later, but considering how dire the circumstances are and how close Olaf was to hurting himself under the snowflakes, I will err on the side of caution and use it immediately, rather than saving it for later. For this snowflake maker, for instance. I'll have to dispatch of it in some other way. Fortunately, I still have Baliag and Eric, and Baliag on top of that platform will be able to shoot down. He needs to make it to the top of this shaft first, though. These aren't ordinary snowflakes we are dealing with either, I would assume, considering the fact that you touch 3 of them and you die. Either that or our Vikings are special and somehow allergic to snow so much that if they come in contact with... That was the final snowflake from the snowflake maker, which traveled all the way down as I scrolled the screen just to hurt Eric. Now I feel kinda silly about it. I could have just waited until it went away and it would not have hurt him. Because, as we all know, what you cannot see does not really exist. Actually, object permanence in this game seems to be a bit more complicated. Objects that are generated by other objects, as soon as you let your eye off them, as soon as they go off the screen, cease to exist. On the other hand, independent objects can be returned to. For instance, the spring, the door, the elevator. You can leave them off the screen, and when you come back to them, you can actually come back to them. They will still be there. Whereas certain things, such as arrows, snowflakes, mostly projectiles, will just disappear and will never come back. Interesting. And also it is something that can be explained in metaphysical terms quite nicely. I do of course understand the fact that the game works this way because it has been programmed this way, but the question does not probe deeply enough. There's a certain level of abstraction involved here. You, as a player, understand the game beyond the game being programmed. You do not have to be aware of the fact that the game was programmed to understand how it works. In fact, you may be completely oblivious to the techniques behind it, and you will still have a degree of understanding. Because it relies on certain logical principles, because it is consistent to an extent. Because it is driven by certain rules. And these rules include things like existence of separate objects, dependently or independently of them being perceived. Unless you're playing at complete random, you are in fact expected to make these sort of connections and to formulate theories on how this world works, that certain objects do only exist when they are perceived, and therefore that you have to follow the path of the arrow for it to actually reach its target, and you have to switch Vikings in order for that arrow to keep flying in a certain direction. You are expected to form certain metaphysical theories on how this world is constructed. Of course, all of this is implicit, it's just meta-analysis on my part. What we are doing here is by far more perplexing. Using a huge electromagnet we've just picked up and dropped a huge rail. I'd assume it's a metal rail because we were able to pick it up with an electromagnet, right? Alright, then we are able to pick it up, we are able to pick it up once again because we need a clear path, and we will put it over here. Now there's a slight problem with this solution. We are putting the rail in this spot so the Vikings can safely cross it. Now the question is, how on earth does that work? If you are using a huge electromagnet to lift it up repeatedly and it works perfectly, and you land it there where you can still see the electricity going, why does it not work as a conductor? Why does it not fry the Vikings as they try to cross on top of it? How do they survive? The best I can come up with is that it is mostly made of metal, but on the surface it is covered with something that does not conduct electricity and therefore is able to provide a safe passage for them, while also being affected by magnets. With Baliag and Olaf out of the way, we need to do certain things with Eric, because the other two have fulfilled their tasks. There's nothing more that I can expect from them, but Eric still has his path to follow. There are still things he needs to do so that the trio can leave this place safely. Oh my. Right? Unfortunately, that kinda hurt, and most importantly, it exposed the electricity over here, so I need to be extremely careful because these blocks do in fact go away. And to make matters worse and even more dangerous, here is the snowflake factory. Merrily, 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 merrily dropping all the flakes it possibly can. I need to time this perfectly. In between shots. Need to be in between shots the moment I crossed its path so that it wouldn't produce a snowflake that would hurt me, send me hurling down towards death. Possibly electric, possibly from fall damage. Either way, the level has been completed. What a challenge! How on earth did we survive that? We have guts and courage! We're Viking heroes! And then we woke up.